Hola, amigos, and welcome to another episode of the Spaghetti Westerns podcast. This episode will conclude season 3. It's episode 20, overall number 85. Today we're going to talk about history of the Spaghetti Western will be the Implacable Three. Whatever became of James Mitchum? Who are those guys? The brother and sister act, the Rasimovs. Film of the week is Death Rides a Horse. And then we'll have autograph of the week, book of the week, CD of the week. We'll also have a bunch of posters, and then we'll conclude with the weekly news. So let's get started. Our continuing series of History of the Spaghetti Westerns is a Spanish-Italian co-production, 1963. Copercinus out of Madrid and PEA out of Rome. We call it in America the Implacable Three. UK, it was the Magnificent Three. The Spanish title is Tres Hombres Buenos. Italian title, I Tre Implacabili, or Tre Uomini Buoni. It was directed by Joaquin Luis Romero Marchant. Story is by Jose Malorchi. Screenplay by Jose Malorchi, Mario Cano, and Joaquin Luis Romero Marchant. Cinematography is by Rafael Pacheco. It's an Eastman color and total scope. Music is by Manuel Parada and Francesco De Masi. What that means is when it was released in Spain, Manuel Parada did the score, and Francesco De Masi did the score for the Italian release. It stars Jeffrey Horn as Don Cesar Guzman, Robert Hundar as Kid McCoy, Paul Piaget as Joa Silvero, Fernando Sancho as Diego Abriles. Also on hand is Ralph Baldassar as Hopkins' henchman. Also had John McDouglas as Bannon, Aldo Sambrell, Bannon henchman, as well as Miguel de la Riva. Antonio Gradoli plays Mayor Hopkins. Jesus Guzman is the Undertaker. Rufino Inglis Sanders. Our friend Lorenzo Robledo pops up as Ray Logan. And a couple of other familiar names that pop up are Jose Jaspi, Jesus Tordesillas, Simon Arriaga, and Enrique Navarro. Story goes as such. A rancher leaves his wife at their hacienda and rides off to herd his cattle. 7 gunslingers invade the house and are stealing him blind when his wife awakens and confronts them. The leader of the gang strangles her to death, but before she dies, she tears a stick pin off his lapel. When he finds his wife dead, Don Cesar Guzman, played by Jeffrey Horn, sets out on a revenge trail and eventually picks up 2 like-minded individuals. After the mysterious killer strangles his wife, he blows up the Guzman safe to steal his money. He blasted the safe because even though he knew the combination, one of his accomplices suggested that he blow the safe so that Don Cesar would not know that the thief knew him. Don Cesar rides into town and promptly finds himself in the middle of a gunfight in a saloon where he kills 3 of the gunslingers that struck his hacienda. A gunfighter, Joa Silvera, played by Paul Piaget, strings along with Don Cesar and they ride the country for 2 years searching for the murderers. Eventually they return to the hacienda and Don Cesar finds that things have changed in town. The mayor is a conniving villain and wants Don Cesar dead. The next big event is the arrival of a 2-gun Mexican gunslinger, Diego Abriles, played by Fernando Sancho. He aligns himself with Don Cesar and his friend, and the 3 eventually pin Mayor Hopkins, played by Massimo Carrocci, to the murders as the ringleader of the gang. He's protected by his chief henchman, played by Kid McCoy, played by Robert Hundar. A final fiery gun battle takes place in the saloon and justice is served. This was one of the early and maybe the first Spanish-Italian westerns. and looked like an American film more than a spaghetti western, but the European influence is obvious, and the Spanish locations give the spaghetti western flavor. Jose Malorque was the writer of the El Coyote films and is well directed by Marchant and photographed by Pacheco. Hundar steals the film as a violent gunfighter dressed in black. Excellent performance by the great Fernando Sancho in a likable role. Subsequently, he would play few similar characters. Aldo Sambrell plays a slimy, menacing outlaw, played out as cruelly bad character. Filmed at Manzanares del Real in Colmenar Viejo, northern Spain. The town set is the Fistful of Dollars Golden City. As far as biographies, Jeffrey Horn played Don Cesar Guzman. Michael Horn was born in the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires, Argentina on August 22, 1933. His father was an executive of Standard Oil. At 5, he went to live with his mother in Cuba. A troubled child, at 15, he was sent to a little school in New England for troubled children, in his own words. He attended the University of California, where he decided to be an actor. He then went to New York City and joined the Actors Studio, where he found work in off-Broadway productions and television. After appearing in such films as The Bridge on the River Kwai, Bonjour, Trieste, he lost a role to Warren Beatty for a role in Splintered in the Grass, and then tried for a role in La Dolce Vita, only to lose again to Marcello Mastroianni. He then returned to the stage with appearances in Richard III in 1980, The Caine Mutiny Court Martial in 1983. He then retired from acting after an appearance in the 1999 film Big Daddy as Sid. He was married 5 times, and today he's an acting coach, stage director in New York City. Then we have Kid McCoy, played by Robert Hundar, whose real name is Claudio Andari, 1935 to 2008. And Jay and I did a complete episode on him, number 20. Geo Silveira was played by Paul Piaget, 1934 to 1985, and was featured in a Whatever Happened To segment in episode 67. Diego Abriles was played by Fernando Sancho, real name Fernando Les, 1916 to 1990, and we gave him his own episode in episode number 9. Okay, now we'll turn to Whatever Happened To. Whatever Happened is James Mitchum. James Robin Spence Mitchum was born in Los Angeles, California on May 8, 1941. He is the son of actor Robert Mitchum and the brother of Chris Mitchum. Jim's first film role was an uncredited part at the age of 8 in 1949's Colorado Territory starring Joel McRae. As he grew older, he became a dead ringer of his father. He inherited his dad's sexy, sleepy eyes and taciturn good looks. It was obvious from the start that Jim would lean towards an acting career with so much going for him. The comparison helped him as well as hurt him. He debuted as an actor in 1958's Thunder Road, which starred his father. In the film, he played his dad's younger brother. He actually replaced Elvis Presley, who the role was written for, but Colonel Parker demanded too much money. The film has become a cult classic. In 1962, he appeared in an episode of Have Gun, Will Travel, where it erroneously stated, introducing James Mitchum. Jim's solo career would be composed of primarily westerns and war pictures, achieving a degree of stability but little distinction in the long run. Jim went on to appear in over 35 films and TV appearances from 1949 to 2010. Jim was formerly married to actress Wendy Wagner from 1967 to 1978. Wendy died in 1997 of cancer. She's the Indian girl in McKenna's Gold. They had one child, Brian Price Mitchum, born in 1969. Jim later married a woman named Vivian Ferrand, and they have two children. When Jim's career never developed into stardom like his father's or brother's, he dropped out of the acting profession and moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, where he went into real estate. Today, he and his wife live in Pleasant Valley, Arizona, where he recently celebrated his 81st birthday. Mitchum appeared in two spaghetti westerns starring as Wes Evans in Massacre at the Grand Canyon in '63, and in the role of Hobie Cordine in 1966, The Tramplers, starring Joseph Cotten and Gordon Scott. Okay, then we move along to there's a picture of him, what he looks like today. Not too flattering. Now we move on to who are those guys? Okay, now we have the acting duo of the Rasimovs, Ivan and Radda. Ivan and Radda Gerasimovic, or Jurasevic as it's really pronounced, were brother and sister. Ivan was born on May 7, 1938, and Radda on March 3, 1941, in Trieste, Friuli, Venezia, Italy. Their younger brother, named Milorad, was born in 1945 and was a music professor in Trieste until he died in 2012. The Rasimovs' parents were from Croatia but had Russian origins. Sister and brother decided to become entertainments working in show business. They attended the Serbian Jovan Militic Grammar School in Trieste, where their father was the dean and teacher. After graduation, they studied drama at the Teatro Stabile in Trieste, at first and then in the university. After Ivan received his degree, he served in the army and returned to Rome and continued with his career. His first role in Italian movies was in Super Rapina e Milano in 1964. That launched his career, and he made appearances in at least two films for each year after that until 1984. He also dubbed several movies into Italian. During the 60s, he was well known in Italy for acting in several Lanzio photonovellas, where he also worked as a director. In fact, he followed many young directors there, and almost everyone was a bit frightened by his stern glance. But he was very kind and helped many of them with his previous experience in the industry. The 6-foot-plus actor was fondly called Ivan Il Terribile. In 4 out of 5 of his spaghetti westerns, he acted under the pseudonym Sean Todd. While he excelled as hero or villain in westerns, war movies, and thrillers, it was Rasimov's involvement in the notorious cycle of Italian cannibal films of the decade which ensured his cult status. After 45-plus films and TV appearances, he ended his career with the Italian television series called Appuntamento e Trieste in 1988. He then retired from acting and became a director of a publishing firm in Rome specializing in genre fiction and graphic novels. At the beginning of his career, he had a relationship with Spanish singer Sara Montiel, and for a year and a half, they lived together in Spain. He was married twice. His second wife was a much younger woman from Greece named Effie. They had a daughter named Alexandra. Unfortunately, Ivan died on March 14, 2003, after a long illness. Some reports say he died in a motorcycle accident, which is false. He was 64 years old at the time of his death. Rasimov's westerns include Chimango in 1967 as Chimango, Don't Wait Django Shoot in 1967 as Django Foster, If You Want to Live Shoot in '68 as Johnny Dark or Johnny Doll or Django. Then in '68 he was in Taste of Vengeance as Daniel, and he ended his career in Vengeance Trail in 1971 as Judge Perkins. Radda Rasimov was born in Trieste on March 3, 1941, and appeared in 40 films and television appearances, beginning with her role as Signora Brent in the 1962 TV miniseries Una Tragedia Americana. Her last appearance as of date was in 2003's Lost Love as Clara Passini. Since 1975, she has worked predominantly in Italian television. Radda was sometimes credited as Victoria Radda. She now lives in Paris since 1992, and she turned to producing and has been nominated and won 2 Emmy Awards as executive producer for Tosca in the Settings and at the Times of Tosca in 1993, and La Traviata from Paris in 2001. Radda was married to actor Gianni Musi, who was born in 1931 and died in 2011, and the couple have 2 children, actresses Masia Musi and Maria Stella Musi. They later divorced. Radda westerns were The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 1966, where she plays Maria, A Taste of Killing in 1966 as Isabella Kennebrook, Don't Wait, Django Shoot in 1967 as Mary Foster, Gatling Gun in 1968 as Mrs. Treble, and in 1969, The Stranger's Gunfight, or Django the Bastard, as Alethea or Alida Murdoch. The Rasimovs only appeared together in one spaghetti western, and that was Don't Wait, Django Shoot, where they played brother and sister. And that concludes the Who Are They? Now we'll turn to the film of the week. Okay, film of the week is another classic, The Death Rides a Horse. Italian title is Duomo a Uomo, also known in Italy as Vita, Morte e Vendetta. English titles are as Man to Man, Viva Django, Man to Man, Two Deadliest Guns Alive, but most of us know it as Death Rides a Horse. It's a 1968 Italian film production by PEC. Producers were Al Sansone, Henry Chorsicchi, directed by Giulio Petroni. Story is by Luciano Vincenzoni, and both Vincenzoni and Petroni got together to write the screenplay. Cinematography is by Carlo Carlini. It's in Technicolor and Technoscope. Music is by Ennio Morricone, and the song Death Rides a Horse is sung by the great Raoul. Cast consists of Lee Van Cleef as Ryan, John Philip Law as Bill Mesita, Luigi Pistilli as Walcott, Anthony Dawson plays Bert Forace as Kavanaugh or Menina, Jose Torres as Pedro, Guglielmo Spolatini as Manuel, Angelo Suzzani as Paco, Mario Brega as One Eye. Also in the cast are Romano Pupo, who plays a Linden City deputy, Walter Giuliangeli, who plays young Bill Mesita, Bruno Corazzari plays the bartender, Carlo Pisacani, Holy Springs station manager. He's the one that has the line, "Where do you want that kiss?" when Bill shows up at the station and Lee Van Cleef has already left, tells the station attendant to plant a kiss on Bill's cheek. Also, Claudio Ruffini is the warden of the prison, and Luigi Scavran plays the prison guard. Familiar with the story, but it goes as this to those who haven't seen it or aren't familiar. A group of bandits invade the Mesita Ranch after following a stagecoach that is transporting $200,000, which has been secured at the ranch for the night during a thunderstorm. The bandits steal the money and massacre the family and guards. Hiding in a corner during the massacre is young Bill Mesita, played by Walter Giuliangeli, who sees the massacre of his family and picks out and remembers certain features of each outlaw: a scar, an earring, a necklace, a spur, a skull necklace. The house is then set afire and another outlaw arrives in time to save Bill, before riding away to join the others. Fast forward to 15 years later, and we see Bill, now a grown man. Bill, as an adult, is played by John Philip Law, and we see him practicing his 6-gun and rifle with deadly accuracy on targets set up at the ranch. A stranger, Ryan, played by Lee Van Cleef, recently released from prison, stops by the ranch to pay his respects. The day after Ryan leaves, the sheriff shows up with a spur which he matches with one left at the massacre. Bill trails Ryan, and after a cat and mouse game, the two join forces to eliminate the gang for their own reasons. In the end, Bill learns that Ryan was a member of the gang. He recognizes him by the skull necklace. And he's the one who saved his life during the attack on the ranch. The two face off against each other in a final duel, but Ryan refuses to fight, sacrificing himself for the wrongs committed. This is another excellent Leone film of the genre. Great production values, great direction, and a great story. Its acting and directing and production values are top notch, as well as the excellent supporting cast, and the Morricone score makes this a fan favorite. The original English title was Duel in the Wind, referring to the finale. Van Cleef suggested it was more like Man to Man, which became the Italian title, but retitled Death Rides a Horse for the USA release. The name Lyndon City was intended as a humorous hat tip to Texan Lyndon B. Johnson, who was president of the USA when the film was made. Actually, there is no Lyndon City in Texas. Lee Van Cleef now begins his father figure career in the spaghetti westerns with this role. John Philip Law is dressed almost identical to Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name, blue shirt, sheepskin vest, and small flat-brimmed hat. I asked John at a Hollywood Collector show why he didn't make more spaghetti westerns, and he said he'd like to, but he was too busy making other films at the time, and when any of them came up that he was asked to perform in. Romano Pupo, who plays the role of a deputy, is on board once again as he doubles Lee Van Cleef in the riding scenes. Remember, Lee Van Cleef had a bad leg from his drunk driving accident back in the 50s, and he was given circus horses to ride, which made it an easier ride for him, but he still had problems. So any of the long shots, Romano Pupo is seen as the rider. Other Leone stock member players include Luigi Pistilli, who remember played Father Pablo Ramirez, Tuco's brother in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Mario Brego pops up, and he played Chico in Fistful of Dollars, and Nino for a few dollars more, and also Corporal Wallace in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Jose Taron, Guy Calloway, and for a few dollars more, and Shorty Larson in The Good, Bad, the Ugly pops up. Ryan is played by Lee Van Cleef, 1925 to 1989, and we gave him his own episode in number 25. Bill Maceda is played by John Philip Law. Law was born in Hollywood, California on September 7, 1937. He was the son of Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff John Law and actress Phyllis Sallee. He's probably best remembered for his role as Pygar the Angel in 1968's Barbarella, starring Jane Fonda. He was married to actor Shawn Ryan sometime in the 70s, and they had a daughter, Dawn, born in 1974. Law died from pancreatic cancer on May 13, 2008. And that concludes our film of the week. Now we'll go to Autograph of the Week. Okay, Autograph of the Week is the great Riz Ortolani. He did several scores for spaghetti westerns and is a fan favorite to most of us. So that's the Autograph of the Week, Riz Ortolani. Now we'll turn to Book of the Week. Okay, those interested in the German westerns, there's actually a book out on all the Croatia film sites for the the German westerns, the Winnetou films. This thing came out in let me look real quick here. Doesn't look like there's a 2016. So this is still available. It's got location. It's in German. It's got pictures of the locations. And if you're into those films and want to know more about the locations, it's well worth picking up. That's our book of the week. Now we'll turn to the CD of the week. CD of the week is a combo of Death Rides a Horse, also Pistol for Ringo, and Return of Ringo. Composer is Ennio Morricone on all three scores. Came out in Italy in 1991. It's on the RCA Italy label. OST 107. Has 28 tracks, 8 for Death Rides a Horse, 10 for A Pistol for Ringo, and 8 for Return of Ringo. Total listening time is 54 minutes, 58 seconds. Value is $20 to $200 depending on condition, and is still available on Discogs or eBay. So that's our CD of the week. Now we'll go to posters. Tom's Poster Vault. Okay, first one we have is a window poster of Chimango. And again, you can see it stars Todd, which is Ivan Rasimov. We also have the German poster, which of course has to be labeled Django, but again, he's Sean Todd, but that's the German poster for Chimango. And then we have Django Don't Shoot, a window card. And this one's sort of funny. This is the Spanish poster, but of course, pictured on here is Terence Hill from Viva Django, not Ivan Rasimov. Then we have a more correct version. Taste of Vengeance. He's in that one. Also have Death's Dealer, where he plays the judge. It's the French mini poster. They would have information on the back. The German, Three Amens for Satan, Leonard Mann, Ivan Rasimov. We have Gatling Gun, which Radda was in, Belgium poster. And then I've got some press books here for Death Rides a Horse. These are, for you younger guys, this is what they would give out to the newspapers for their advertisements, showing pictures from the film or just ads for their poster ads showing what time. This is for The Stranger's Gun Down, which is also Django the Bastard. Radda was in that. Here's a still from that film showing her. And then we have Death Rides a Horse. And this is a Finnish poster. Got the same type of artwork we're familiar with. American ad mats for Death Rides a Horse. German program. They used to give out these when they went to the theater. They have pictures and the story of the film. The last one is from Japan. These are even cooler. They would have full-length pictures, descriptions of the film, sometimes a fold-out poster in the center, more pictures. There's Lee. These were great. So that concludes the Poster Attic, and now we'll go to the weekly news. Okay, quite a bit on the weekly news this week. We have a new French Blu-ray DVD of Soleil Rouge, which is Red Sun, directed by Terrence Young, starring Charles Bronson, Toshiro Mifune, Alain Delon, Ursula Andress. Was released on May 18th by Studio Canal. It contains 2 discs, one Blu-ray, one DVD, with an aspect ratio of 1.85:1. It's in French and English with French subtitles, and it runs 102 minutes. Next, we have the Italian DVD Blu-ray of Ennio. It was released on Coke Media Italia, directed by Giuseppe Tornatore. It stars Ennio Morricone, Quentin Tarantino, and Carlo Verdone. This is in Italian only, running time of 156 minutes, and is being released in a limited edition. Doesn't say how many actual copies are being released. Extras include a booklet. It was released on May 19th. Then we have a German DVD. Bear with me on this pronunciation. Augemog, Zamazan, Blutagarash, and Wilden Western, which means an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, bloody revenge in the Wild West, 5 giants from Texas, a bounty killer from Trinity. Directors are Aldo Floria, Aristide Masakese, Armand Schaefer. The film starred Guy Madison, Jeff Cameron, John Wayne. This was released by Magic Movie. It's Dolby Digital 2.0 German. Running time is 3 hours and 51 minutes, so it's actually 3 films. And then we have another German release or DVD release, Mein Kanon, mein Pferd und dein Witwe, which is My Horse, My Gun, Your Widow, directed by Juan Bosch, starring Craig Hill, Claudia Lang, and Chris Huerta. It was released on May 20th by True Grit / Cargo Movies, and it features 2 covers. It's in German. And then the last one was another German Blu-ray DVD release by also True Grit and Cargo Records of Murrieta, directed by George Sherman, starring Jeffrey Hunter, Jay's ex-wife Diana Loris, and Arthur Kennedy. It's a limited edition of 500 copies with 2 discs, a Blu-ray and a DVD. It's in German with a running time of 107 minutes. Extras include 2 cover options, a 4-page booklet, and a German theatrical trailer. It was released on May 20th. We have one Boot Hill to report this week, and that's Rainer Basedow. He was a German actor who died in Salzburg, Austria on May 15th, 5 days short of his 84th birthday. Basedow was born on May 20th, 1938 in Mulhausen, Saxony, Prussia, Germany, and grew up in the former GDR. He graduated from high school in Magdeburg in 1965, but was not allowed to study because of political unreliability. So he fled to the West, where he began studying to become a teacher in Braunschweig, but later switched to acting and moved to Munich. From 1976 to 1995, he was a permanent member of the Munich Laughing and Shooting Society, which he gave 19 tours and around 4,000 performances. He finally appeared in pictures in the 1970s, and then he also acted as a voice actor in a wide variety of films. Among others, he lent his voice to John Belushi in the Blues Brothers. But his distinctive voice was also heard in Disney productions, among other things, as Warty Pumbaa in The Lion King, or as Wayne Knight in Toy Story 2. Basedow appeared as a miner in the 1976 Euro Western Montana Trap, aka Potato Fritz. So that wraps up our 3rd season, and Jay and I want to thank you for joining us each week, and we look forward to season 4, and we're trying to line up some interviews and some specials for you. In the meantime, check out Jay's Retro Time Machine podcast on YouTube. So until we meet again, adios, amigos.